All right, 21 minutes after 11 o'clock. I can always tell when we have an author who is already popular because the listeners are already 2 steps ahead of me on this one. Karen Kingsbury is on the phone. She is the author of In This Moment. She's got some amazing credentials. I think it said 25 million books in print. Wow. That's pretty amazing. This new book, by the way, is number 1 on Amazon in the religious romance category. And Karen Kingsbury has a lot of books to her name. Recognized by Time Magazine as the queen of inspirational fiction. And she's on the phone right now to talk to us about her new book, In This Moment. And a lot of it has to do with, oh my gosh, some of the things you'll recognize are like... similar to some of the discussions you see like on Facebook when they except for the romance part, of course. Karen, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
And where are you right now?
In beautiful, sunny Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh,
nice.
That's a good place to be, yeah. Well, tell me about the story. It sounds like our listeners are way ahead of Robin and I on this one. Tell me about the story, In This Moment.
Well, In This Moment is really pretty issue-driven. It's less, it's romance. It's got some romance in it, but I would always never really consider myself a romance writer as much as more like real-life kind of thing. So this one deals with the First Amendment, and whether it's kind of the question is, are we being promised in the Constitution and with the Founding Fathers trying to advocate freedom of religion or freedom from religion? And it's kind of, it's being more interpreted as freedom from religion in today's culture. So we have this inner city school, this principal, Wendell Quinn, who feels the only thing he can do to save his students at this point, because they're a mess, is to bring the Bible back to school in a voluntary way, and that's great until he gets sued. So now it's a national lawsuit.
Okay, until he gets, I'm sorry, the last thing cut off, until he gets what?
Until he gets sued. One of the parents of one of the kids in the program sues him, and it becomes this national case. So that's sort of the emotional piece behind it.
And now the listeners know why I said, and I read this in the prep material, that a lot of these issues are things you might have seen on social media where we're arguing these kinds of things back and forth. This is the time of year also for nativity scenes on the town square or a protest to have the nativity scenes, etc., on the town square. You've both sides of that coin, right?
Yeah, you really do. This is that time of the year. Do they say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays? Is it one illegal? That whole thing.
Well, just so you know how we stand, I'm sure Robin agrees with me. I think the First Amendment is religion, the freedom to practice whatever religion you want. I don't think it means freedom from religion.
Yeah, that's what I did a lot of research and went back to what the Founding Fathers wrote, and that many of them they advocated an idea that the government they were trying to form only could be successful in a culture against the fabric of society that believed, that had faith, because otherwise it wouldn't work.
Robin and I went to New York on Thanksgiving, and we saw the Radio City Rockettes Christmas Spectacular, and I hadn't seen it in years. I don't think you had ever seen it, right, Robin? It was
right.
And they have, there's a big thing about Santa Claus and toys and gifts and all that, but they had a large portion that was dedicated to the story of the birth of Jesus. And both Robin and I said, wow, I was surprised in today's politically correct world that they were okay with putting that in there.
Yeah, that was outstanding.
Yeah, and we appreciated it. And I thought, I bet you most of the audience that would attend a Christmas show, it is about Christmas after all, that they would probably have no problem with that.
I think you're right. And it's funny, I came up with the idea for In This Moment. I was at coffee with a friend, and she was telling me about her life and how things were going, and then she said, she kind of like leaned forward and had this whisper, and she said, I think it's because God is really blessing us. And I said, Lisa, why are you whispering? And she said, well, because, saying God, that's illegal.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
No. Oh, no.
My goodness, we can't give away our rights. It's not even going to be a battle if we're just going to give them away.
Yeah.
Well, you You also have about relationship testing in this book, because even though Luke, the attorney, is trying to defend Wendell about his choices for his relationship with the students to try to bring the Bible back, Luke's wife feels like he's working too much and he's not devoting as much time to the family. So there's a huge contrast there.
Yeah, there really is, and it's funny, one of the things that kind of came up while I was researching and working on In This Moment is, when you get married, and that really becomes your calling, your husband or your wife, your family, your kids, that kind of becomes your calling. It's not necessarily your gifting. Your gifting might be to practice law, but your calling is your family, and Luke just has to recognize that, to get it all right, you have to get the first part right, and it's a good relationship test for them for sure.
Wow, I love that you've done this. So, how do your fans feel about this? So this is different from your other books, in that regard, I should say.
I think most of my books deal with a kind of a deep element of relationship, whether it's having a second chance or being a survivor or, something on the deeper side like that. This one has the issue. I mean, this is an issue-driven story, and I'm really thrilled. The readers love it.
I think
it doesn't mean I'm going to always write, a legal battle book, but it's good.
Oh, I just think you're very bold in doing this, and I think it's a great thing. I meant that as a compliment. I think it probably played on your mind a little bit. Should I or shouldn't I do this? And I'm glad you did, and I hope you're glad you did also.
I am glad I did, and you're absolutely right, Larry. I definitely, pondered that. Like, it's easy to be writing about love and second chances and, fighting through and, books that will change lives and bring people closer together is my norm. And this does that, but this definitely takes on an issue that I thought, how's this going to go? But, my husband's in education. He's been in education for 30 years, and he really encouraged me. He said, this needs to be said. It needs to be done. There's these inner city schools where kids don't have any hope, and that's true at a lot of schools.
Right.
So Wendell Quinn becomes the hero here.
And you've adopted 3 boys from Haiti, so that's a different culture altogether that you're trying to acclimate them to here, but keep their roots.
It's so true, and that was back in 2001. And the beautiful thing, of course, it feels like we've had them forever now, when they're in college, but. We are very much, our family is about having, the diversity that our culture so desperately needs to embrace each other and whatever color and culture that we are, whatever our background. We just need to be kind. We need to love each other a lot more. And that definitely is a theme that plays out in this, in my new book, In This Moment.
I love what you're saying right here. Karen Kingsbury is our guest. The book is called In This Moment. It's #1 on Amazon in the category of religious romance, I think. I'm not looking at it. And you can get it on Amazon. Karen, before we say goodbye, can you direct us to a different way to get the book or to a website of your own?
Definitely. So KarenKingsbury.com is the best way to kind of have access to whether it's Target or Barnes & Noble or Lifeway or whatever bookstore that you might want to find it at.
Very good. Karen, thank you. I just love this. It was a great way to end. This is our last interview this morning, so thank you for ending it on a really positive note. Thank you for being on the show with us today.
Thank you. We'll do it again. This was great.
All right, we will be right back.
Fox News Radio, I'm Chris Foster. Who's the boss at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau? Richard Cordray quit and put his deputy in charge until a new director is confirmed by the Senate, but President Trump's appointed someone else, and now there's a lawsuit.
Calling herself the rightful acting director of the Bureau, Leandra English is seeking a judgment and temporary restraining order to prevent OMB Director Mick Mulvaney from becoming interim chief. The CFPB is an independent agency created after the financial crisis.